and what I expect from you in this program. And basically, first we cover the mind, body, spirit connection. And then I want to share with you how people actually come to this point in their life. What is it that you've done till now to form this personality that you were talking about? And how is it that you've come to this point in your life where you've actually realized, like, hey, I am this sort of a person and I can do these things, I can't do these things. This is important for us to know, because when you talk to a client, then it's easy for you to say, this person has done this in order to get here. And then what we do is we touch upon Ayurveda, which is the ancient Indian science of health. And I'll share with you why this is very special. And why is it so different from the modern medicine, and how we can use this in the float world. And then I'll just share with you a quick float technique. So we'll go through these 4 things, and it's a lot of information in the first session, but this is something that we're going to constantly keep reminding ourselves through the program. So I'm just setting the base foundation right now. And also you can start trying the float techniques in your next float whenever you get a chance. Okay.
To get them going, if it's
no problem. That's fine.
Great.
That's fine. So we'll see how far we get into it, and then you can go do your float, and then, or you can set them up, and then when you come back, we can try and finish it before they finish.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. So basically, I know you're very busy and you have a lot of things going on, but try and keep the program and what we talk about on the forefront of your consciousness or in your mind, because that's how it slowly seeps into your being, and you will start living a slightly different life. You will start, see, the aim in life is not to be busy. The aim in life is to do everything you want to do in that day. But the inner world should be completely still, where there's this peculiar kind of state where you might experience it, where you feel like you're not doing anything in life. You feel like, fuck, I'm not doing anything. But when you tell people what you've been up to, it's just this huge, long list of achievements and long list of things you've accomplished. And you're like, damn, I did all that? Well, okay. Didn't feel like it because I thought I was just chilling in life.
Yeah.
So what do you think is happening there?
Like it's a fate free will push of like what seems like work or turning leisure into hard work, but loving every bit of it. So maybe it's just the description that I'm using because I'm programmed in my head to look at, even though we're taking a 2-hour drive to a beautiful vacation, it still is work to get packed, to pay for it, to get in the car, to plan the supplies, but you do end up having a beautiful time. And then where's that trade-off of,
it's that calmness. It's like within you, you are really comfortable and you're just, see, what we tend to have is in our normal world, we have a hierarchy of what is a better thing to do and what is not a good thing to do, right? We have this subliminal hierarchy, which is just people telling us like, oh yeah, if you go on a holiday, it's great. But then if you're spending time just like cleaning your deck or like working on your garden, it's not so interesting. But if you realize there is no hierarchy in the activity you're doing. I feel exactly the same way as I'm doing this session, or if I'm hanging out with some of my friends, or if I'm at a party. It's all the same thing to me.
Do you feel like if you because of your habits and your personality of how you've vibrated and become into this musical align where you're not overworking, you're not over busy, but you're very comfortable in your skin, makes it so that as you show up for these different processes, you carry with you your deeds or your past of your identity, of your personality into the calmness of the activity you're doing or the person you are.
Kind of, but it's more to do with the condition that I'm creating within me every single moment, which is enabling that balance as a result. For example, now I'll get into Ayurveda in a bit, but the balance within me is going to reflect everything that I do. So it's not that I'm carrying something with me everywhere. The only thing I'm carrying is this balance, and this balance doesn't shift. And if it's shifting, then I'm counteracting it in some way that it automatically brings me back to that sense of stillness. See, it's like there's a story where this guy goes to the doctor and he's like, doctor, it hurts here, 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 here. And he's just pointing all over his body. He's like, it hurts here, 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 here. My whole body's hurting. And the doctor's like, dude, your finger's broken. It's not everywhere it's hurting. It's the finger where you're pointing with that's broken. So when you take people, the inner vibe is being projected outwards. So your reality is nothing but a projection of what's going on.
Either laziness or sloth or not being busy, or can you be busy while watching TV?
They're always busy. If someone is busy inside, while watching TV, they've got one finger on their cell phone and one finger somewhere else. Their mind has gone somewhere else. First, to address this, there's a connection between your mind, your body, and who you actually are. There's a deep connection within these three. It's the mind, body, spirit connection.
Sure.
Right? So the mind, body, spirit connection is overlooked by most people. For example, if you have any sort of physical pain, or if you have any sort of physical illness that shows up, it doesn't come straight from your body. It generates itself in the mind first.
And you make yourself sick like a hypochondriac.
You can. That's one of the ways it happens. But also, for example, it's a macro and a microcosm, right? And your body is nothing but a reflection of your mind. If you notice, your body is just, how else can it be?
Yeah. And
I mean, there's no other way.
And continuing to put yourself in environments and floating by that weekly routine helps your body and mind turn off the busyness.
Yes. So we're trying to neutralize your mind's impact, and that will impact your body. And we're going to work with this mind, body, spirit in the float tank because it's giving you that neutral environment. The impact of the external environment is getting minimal. So now, see, it's very simple. If you're trying to figure out something and you have, say, x plus y equals z, and if you keep changing x and y together, you're never going to find z. You have to keep something that is constant and keep tweaking the other variable. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the tank as a constant variable where the external situation is the same, which is actually null, which is zero. Yeah. Now you know whatever's happening, the experience that's happening in the tank is reflecting your being. It's a total reflection. And now it's in front of you. You're just like, whoa, okay, this is what I need to do.
It's that level of clarity. It's so great to see people on their first float really be able to let go and come out and full, like, I've been able to fall asleep for like a half hour and let go of their phones and their stress and their ability to fall asleep and travel and let the body do its job.
Yes.
We're definitely having the amount of new people coming in here for experiences. You can tell the people that take the extra effort to get comfortable with the claustrophobia, with making sure they don't get salt in their eyes and their mouth. I'm sure you've got a very specific orientation to first float, second float, and third float.
Yes.
But for people's first time, trying to not overwhelm them with too much information, giving them the tools to not get salt in their eye, and make sure all the conditions that we can for the pod and cleanliness and towels and all that is as perfect for each person, like going into a new hotel, so that they can start to peel those experiences back without being too overwhelmed. Or one of the things we say is, before shutting the door, is there's no wrong way to do this.
Yes.
So, you know, your time is your own. There's no wrong way to do this, and have a good flow.
Exactly. And we'll go through that as well, of what I tell my clients when they come for a first float. For someone, two types of clients. One is someone who's just trying it for the first time, who's a stranger and who's just there for an experience. And the other one is the regular client that has probably signed up for a program or something like that. How I would guide them, because I know they're going to be consistent, so I can build upon the first experience. So I'll go through that as well. So you see how we're trying to work with the tank as an environment where your inner world is being projected, and then now you can kind of tweak it. It's a different way of doing it now, because now you have it's like a blank canvas where you can actually see what's going on. Once you can see it, then you can change. Usually I share a new idea in our sessions, and then we build upon the idea, and then you get to play with this idea for the whole week. Okay. And then you have to see, I'm using the word play, because don't believe anything I say. It all has to be coming through your own experience. That's when it's real.
Got it.
Okay, so how did you build this personality that you have right now? How did you do it?
Played the cards that I had.
But how did you know that it was a game, and how did you know that what were the rules to play these cards? How did you know all that? Who told you?
Just kind of make up the rules as you go and follow the guidelines that are already there, to not harm anyone else, or to not be unethical or unmoral, but experience all the gifts life has, and people and personalities, and that balance of overanalyzing life and the world and the personality versus just being and growing. I went through like 12 different school systems in 5 different states. So as I grew up, it was just a ping pong ball across the United States, and each time it was starting fresh, somewhat the family orientation, then that broke apart, and then the relationship with the brothers, and other variations of becoming broken from the family and the ways of the world, and just continuing to fail forward or to experience new things with a boldness to not let failures exist, or to push through challenges, consistently being told no, and finding new or different ways to experience the world.
Okay, but how did you come up with this game where you're like, yep, even if someone says no, I can do this and I'm going to move forward, whereas someone else who could be your age, who could be in the same background as you, say that, oh no, once someone says no, they would go into a shell, and then they would remain like a different kind of person, and they wouldn't have the balls to go in and say, yep, I can do this. What is the difference between these two people?
I think my goals when I was younger is you find what ways of communicating you learn in school, and some people become math, science, and others become communicators or journalists, or those divisions of, are you more of the analytical person, or are you more of the communicative person? And I'd say a lot of that, combining sales techniques or just asking a lot of questions throughout life, and being exposed to a lot of things, and balancing the ego versus the humility of how to learn, how to grow without there being judgment.
Yes. So if you really break it down further, you will see that it's only the story that you're telling yourself is different between these two people.
That makes
It's
sense.
the narrative that's playing in your head. You know, it's that part. That is the crucial part. You have told yourself the story.
It's the fragmenting of identities, because
Yes.
it's been interesting in who are you supposed to be, what are, you know, from a family of whatever their lineage and pathway, and kind of being the rebel that could have had it all, or could have had a lot more, but decided to find my own way and be happy with not conforming to a certain path that could have gotten me more materialism and less value.
Yes. And that's again, you know, so like you said, you know, that fragmentation, when you really break it down further, it comes down to just a set of scales. So imagine a set of scales when you're really young, even now, even till this day. And what we do is we stack these scales according to what you feel is right and wrong. Right. And what you do, or what you've done till now, same with me, is someone would probably say, hey man, you're really good at this. And you'll be like, ting, scales go down. You're good at this. Hey man, you suck at this. The scales go the other way. Your teacher says you're really good at math. Boom, scales go. And so your teacher says, oh, you're shit at math. Then you go write a math exam. You fail at it. More scales. More weight on one side.
Did you know that 90% of all professional sports are born within like a 3-month window?
Nice. I didn't know that.
Because those people were larger or more developed, or had just a little bit of a competitive advantage. So they got more coaching, more, you know, all
makes sense.
So a great book, I don't know if you've ever read any of Malcolm Gladwell's books, but it's Outliers, The Tipping Point, and
yes, The Tipping Point, yes.
Tipping Point, yes. I think that is either in Blink or The Tipping Point or Outliers. No, it's in Outliers. It's in Outliers.
Okay.
But there's a whole chapter about like different cultures and how they respond with like the FAA. But that part about professional athletes getting more coaching and more development and more positive reinforcement is either you push through the nose and you get better so that more people will say yes, or you ask less questions and shift your personality into kind of a narrower focus of finding the yeses and accepting that versus challenging yourself through the no's.
Exactly.
And developing.
And that's what it's come down to. And that's how every person, knowingly or unknowingly, is living their life. So if you take all the scales, the summation of all the scales in your life, this is who you think you are right now. Very simple. And all we're going to do is start tipping those ones which you feel is not helping you. Boom, you just start flipping it over. Right. It's the same thing I did. I was like, okay, I'm not this guy you see like 5 years ago. I wasn't this person. All I did was I recognized that, fuck, it's only the story that I'm telling myself at the end of the day. Whatever I break it down to, it comes down to that. It's like, oh, I'm just going to make a new story. And I'm just going to start living my life with this new story. Okay. And then I just figured out, how is it that I can change this story? Because it's not going to happen by me telling it, because I have to start feeling it. And then I was like, okay, it has to come from a very deep level within me where I start to believe my own story.
How far have you traveled through your subconscious in the past?
So it's basically constant reminder more than the depth of it. So the depth of it will be in, like, say, my vision or my mind's eye. But it's the constant reminder that keeps me on track. And it's the same that with everyone. As humans, we tend to forget really fast. The question is, who are you becoming? And what we're going to do in the next few weeks is we won't just leave it out and say, oh, I'm just becoming this person. No, we just pin it down and say, Vijay, this is who I want to become. And remember, you're not getting married to this person. we're just going to start off saying, I want to become this guy. And we just mold your life into that person. And then once you're there, you'll be like, oh, no, I don't want to be this guy anymore. I want to be someone else. And then you can just become that guy.
Here, I got a really cool thing that you're going to like.
Yeah. Okay. It's never too late to be who you want to be. I hope you have a life you're proud of. And if, just move it up a bit, please. And if you find you're not, then you're not. Go up a bit. Yeah. If you find that you're not, I hope you have, oh, that's amazing. That's it.
And then this other one.
That's exactly it. A bit up. Yeah. Learn to say no. So your yes has some oomph. Spend time with your friends who lift you up and cut loose the ones who bring you down. Stop giving. Yep. That's perfect.
So
that's perfect. And we'll talk.
Oh, go ahead.
That's so important, but we'll go into a depth of why that's so important. Right. Why is it that you have to cut away people who are not having you, who are not supporting you and pushing you up? It's very important. I've done that. I had to make a rational decision of saying, what is it that, so which version of me shows up with which people? And if the version of me shows up where I'm not comfortable anymore because I've outgrown this version, then that person has no thing in my life anymore. It's not like I need them around for anything. I don't like the part that I feel around this person. So I'm gonna quit hanging out with this person.
I asked someone recently, I go, do you feel like you change who you are when you're around me? So that you try to be who you think I want you to be? And
yes.
she was like, what? I was like, I used to, but I'm not anymore. And then was like, do you think, and then she, flipped it back and was like, oh, are we projecting here? And what's the mirror? What's the antithesis? And I was like, yes, I do feel that I changed to be one, an identity that's inside of that. Hold on one sec. It's work line forwarded.
Yeah.
Hello, brothers. This is Michael. Yes. Cool. No worries. I'm here. Thanks for the call. All right, cool. All right, bye. All right. The two floaters are going to be 5 minutes late, which is perfect. So that means we still have, I've got one other floater, but at least we're not, people show up 30 minutes early. I'm like, 30 minutes early is just too much. Like, I could be bicycling around. I'm like,
yeah,
20 minutes is fine, but 30 minutes is a bit much.
Yes. Cool. So you see what we're trying to do? We're trying to change this story and build a new character for you. Right. So what I'll do is, once you have this idea, in week 2, I'll send you a character sheet. Right. And you can fill out these sheets and you can just have fun with it. And there's no particular reason for these sheets other than just to have fun. And maybe you can even ask your client to do it at a later stage when they come in for their second or third float, because we can use this principle in a really nice way into the float tank. So what I ask my clients to do, I'll go through in detail, but just to tell you, I ask them to say, okay, when you come to the float center, there's an old version of you, this old version that comes in, right? The moment you open the tank and you go in and shut the door, that's it. The old version is done. And the new version is going to walk out. And this is amazing because people, when they walk out, they haven't done anything, but they walk out. Really, I've seen people completely change their hairstyle, the way they do their hair, and like walk out with a new swag. And they're just like, yep, I'm this new version of myself. Yeah. It's just like the story has cool. Something very simple. Okay. So when we're doing this story, the story that most people have nowadays is very serious. life is serious. You need to go get this done. Oh no, I have to be someone. Oh no, what if I don't do this? Oh no, everyone's out to get me. So it's a very serious kind of story.
Yeah.
Right. And most people, when they at a float center or anywhere, or even in the spiritual community, all these life coaches and all these people, they also have a very serious story. Right. But I'm not into serious at all, because serious means that there's tragedy. Nothing in life is serious.
Yeah.
Nothing is serious. It might seem very intense and you'll be like, oh my God, worlds are being destroyed. But once you really know that it's only an illusion, which we'll talk about later, there's nothing serious. You can be very sincere. I'm not saying don't be sincere to your clients, sincerity to your music or work or your discipline or whatever that is. Be sincere, but don't make it serious.
I like it.
Yeah, so you want to keep it very playful. Right, very playful. When someone comes to your center, I tell them like, hey man, trust me, if the world's about to end, I will come and save you. But other than that, you don't have to worry about anything.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
I like getting people to be like, I think I told you last time, who's the best napper? And that person,
yes,
I am. I go, okay, well, this is for you. Like, get ready, and
exactly.
you're gonna nap it up.
Something like in that order, where it's playful, and we don't like dump them with all this intellectual well-being stuff like, oh, it's all this magnesium, da 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 da. No, we make it very playful, because see, people nowadays, they don't play enough in life. They've become too like, what is in it for me?
Yeah, there's such a heaviness to it that I've not, I'm trying to be proper, but I have a little bit of fun with it, but I've certainly not as, you read and recognize everyone. So trying to just make nervous people feel calm and let them know you've got them taken care of and the lid can be open. The tone is just as important, like nonverbal and mannerisms. But to be a little bit more playful and to get people laughing or saying yes or being more comfortable when they come in and transition. It's always strange too, because the dynamic of is it one person coming through the door? Is it a family of four? Is it a loud person, a quiet person? So reading those dynamics, time of day and the best is when customers that have come and done the nighttime float, when they floated for over 4 hours, or they're members that come once every couple of weeks or more regularly, I'm able to kind of just drop the pressure or the stress and have them be more friendly. But I also feel like I'm so repetitive. I wrote down one day, I'm like, I got to stop asking people like try to get information on the way in about how their float would be, so I can ask them specifics like, how's your shoulder? Or were you able to fall asleep? Did you close the lid? Instead of like, how's your float? Like it's just having like that different positive energy. I definitely need work in that area for me.
Yeah, no problem.
And then getting the employees as well, because I want this to be a fun, great environment, but there's also like a level of seriousness of like, how do I get the level of respect and like cleanliness, so it's not this just like such a lax environment that you can that I'm so easy to get along with that it's not that big a deal if the pods aren't like that clean or
yes, it's that fine balance. We have to clearly mention that playful doesn't mean not being sincere. So you could play tennis, and in no way tennis is easy to play, and you can't be lax about it because you just won't win, or it's just like too hard. So playing is the internal feeling, whereas for you to be able to play properly, you need to have that sense of discipline. When you want to be playful with your client, you can't be thinking about, is my pod clean and all these things, because you have to get all that shit sorted before it starts.
Yeah.
Right? So they both come together. It's the duality. We'll talk about that in the next section. But do you see how you being playful, right? Don't worry about what you want to